everyone, have a seat, get cozy. Today we are talking about things British people think should be illegal, even though technically they're not. If you're new here, hi, how's it going? My name is Alanna and I'm a Canadian, but I live here in the UK. And if you're not new here, hey, how's it going? So let's dive into it, and right away, something that's not illegal but Brits think it should be is not offering your guests a cuppa the moment they walk in. Even if that guest does not want tea, they know they're gonna say no. They know that they don't want tea. If you don't offer it to them, that's illegal, go to jail. This one took some getting used to because as a Canadian, like, I never drank tea in Canada, ever. My parents didn't drink tea. My grandma maybe drank a little bit of tea, but it was just like so not part of our reality of like our day to day. So here, someone comes in, it's a friend, it's the landlord, it's the plumber. You better ask if they want a cup of tea or you're going to jail. Number 2 was a hot button topic in our Discord. Our Discord is our chat room. If you want to join, that's Patreon, YouTube memberships, or Twitch. If you support me on those platforms, there's access to our chat room on Discord. Anyway, this was a hot button item in the Discord, and that is lounging at home in jeans. And I realize that I am in jeans, but that's because I'm filming, so it doesn't count. But a lot of the Brits in the Discord were like, it should be illegal if you're in the comfort of your own home and you're in jeans. Like, that is insane behavior. For me, as someone who works from home, like, I am sweatpants. I am in sweatpants, pajamas, loungewear like 80% of the time in my house, but I won't leave the house in sweatpants. So the only time that I'm in my house in jeans is like I'm filmed or I'm going to film, or I know I'm gonna go out later, and so I put jeans on like preemptively, that sort of thing. But if I knew like I'm not filming, I'm not gonna go out, I'm gonna be at home, I'm editing all day at my desk, and the thought of putting jeans on, yeah, it does feel illegal. Feels like the cops are gonna come around my house and arrest me. Number 3 was also a big discussion point in our Discord, and that is sitting with the big light on. Now, this might be more of a millennial thing, and leave a comment down below, but the idea of sitting in your living room, in the lounge, whatever, and you've just got the big light on, that's illegal. Don't do that. The idea being, it's just so harsh, and it's just like, there's no mood lighting, you know, there's no ambiance. Have little lamps. We actually have a lot of like these little cheap floodlights. So we've got one there, we've got one there. So at night when you're watching TV, you can have these sort of diffused floodlights on, which I really like. And I even have a cheap one upstairs by my desk. But many Brits in our Discord thought it should be illegal to just hang out, lounge at night with the big light on. And also, leave a comment down below. Do you agree with these? I'm not sure how many. I've written them all down. I'm not sure how many we have, but let me know, out of the X amount, how many do you agree? How many do you disagree? Or just leave a comment anyways, as long as it's nice. If you leave a nasty comment, I swear to God. Number 4, something that should be illegal, is leaving crumbs in your butter. What else is there to say other than if you use your butter, you know, maybe you're having a nice slice of toast, maybe you're having some beans on toast, wouldn't that be nice? It's kind of a rainy, gross day today. That'd be a nice lunch to have. And you pull out the butter and there's just all these crumbs just left in it from the last time. Go to jail. Number 5, we have arriving really early or slightly late. And this is something that I love, and I do get anxiety about this. I don't know what it is, and maybe something happened in my childhood. We can kind of dive into that later. But there's something about time anxiety that I really have, where it's like I'm really anxious to arrive to said thing at the right time. I don't want to be early, and I certainly don't want to be late. I want to be right on time. And this is kind of like an unspoken rule in British culture. It's very rude if you just show up at somebody's house. Maybe they're having a barbecue and everybody's getting there at noon, and you show up at 11:30. Don't do that. But if the event is at noon and you show up at 12:20, don't do that either. There's a real art to arriving at just the right time. Number 6, we have making tea in the microwave. This, unfortunately, is punishable by death. You don't even get a trial. You just go straight to death row. But making tea in the microwave, I think, went viral when people were making largely TikToks, and it was mostly like rage bait. When making content online, you gotta get the views, right? And so rage bait is pretty popular, or like getting people to hate watch your content, which, like, no thank you personally, but it does exist. And I think that's where the making the tea in the microwave thing came about, was like people were making jokes, right? They're just like rage baiting people. And it worked. Number 7, another thing that Brits think should be illegal, but it isn't, is when you dip a biscuit into your cup for way too long and it falls apart. And you do it on purpose. Now, assuming this is a biscuit in a cup of tea, but it could be coffee, to be fair, any sort of instance where you're dunking a biscuit and you purposely hold it there for long enough that it will disintegrate. That's disgusting, and you're going straight to jail. If I had to choose, so this is coffee, if I had to choose a biscuit, is there anything better than just like a really nice shortbread? I don't know, I love a shortbread, especially when it comes to like coffee or tea dunking. Chocolate digestive is also an S tier biscuit. There's really no biscuit that I would say no to other than a rich tea. Here's another point that should be on my list that's not. If you genuinely enjoy a rich tea, you should go to jail. Next up, what I believe to be number 8. If the numbers are wrong, and they usually are, just ignore it. It's none of my business. Number 8 is not saying sorry when someone else bumps into you. This is actually something that you will see in Canada. We love to apologize. Brits love to apologize. I've apologized to doors or like door frames. If you accidentally, like, you bump into the door frame, mannequins at the mall, like anything that I bump into, I'm gonna apologize to. And if you don't do that here in the UK, the police will find out. There's like a community watch for people specifically who don't say sorry. They're always watching, and if they see you do it, you don't say sorry, they're gonna report you. So you've been warned. Number 9, standing on the left side of an escalator. I love the concept of stand on the right, walk on the left. I wish that was implemented everywhere. It's definitely the law of the land in London, which makes sense because it's just like mass humanity, right? Like if you've ever been on the tube, even near rush hour, and like trying to get out on the escalators and stuff, it is a nightmare. I've never seen that many people in my entire life. So it makes total sense, but I do wish it was more enforced in other places, even in like small towns. If I'm at the mall and you are standing on the left on the escalator, I should be allowed to arrest you. Number 10, we have jumping the queue. This is a very obvious one. I think everybody can agree that this should be punishable by death. And when I was writing out this list, do you guys remember the Queen's funeral? Okay. Feels kind of like it was a long time ago, but also not really. And do you remember the drama that came about when, I want to say it was Holly Willoughby and what's his name? And it kind of looked like they jumped the queue at the Queen's funeral, so they could like, because the queue was like days long, which in of itself is so British. The queue was like days long. I don't know if you stood in the queue. I kind of thought about it and didn't decide to in the end. And there was rumors or speculation or allegations, whatever you want to say, that they jumped the queue and they could pay their respects ahead of everybody else. And there's huge drama. Like, people were outraged and they wanted them to be fired. That's how serious this is. Number 11, something that should be illegal is talking to strangers on public transport. I would also put as like a subcategory to this law, making prolonged eye contact with someone on public transport, or actually making any eye contact on public transport. I used to have to take the bus to work. I would take 2 buses to work. And there would be evenings, you know, waiting for the bus. Maybe the bus doesn't show up for an hour. Bus shows up, get on the bus, you sit down. It's fairly empty because it's so late. And then you'd get someone that would not only sit beside you, which I also think should be illegal if there's other seats available, someone would sit down beside you and then they'd start talking to you, and you just know that you're in for an adventure that evening. Do you know what I mean? Number 12, something that should be illegal but isn't, is when someone is walking in front of you and they are walking too slow, but they are walking too fast for you to overtake. You should go straight to jail. It's so awful, and I've been in this situation many times where it's like, okay, you have two decisions, right? Two choices. You can either walk behind them, almost, it's like you guys are the same pace, so you're almost like beside each other. Slow down so you're behind them a little bit more and just hope that they turn soon, or almost like half jog to get in front of them. And you look really stupid, so it's kind of like, which would you prefer? Number 13, we have saying goodbye without doing the proper 4-phase exit. So this, of course, includes like you say right and you slap your knees and then you get up. That's stage 1. And then you chat for a bit, stage 2, and then you're at the door. You're like, all right, well, see you soon, blah, blah, blah. That's stage 3. And then stage 4, after chatting for a little bit, is your final exit. If you just say, okay, I gotta go, and then you just get up and leave, who do you think you are? You need to have this sort of dance, right? This exit dance, this goodbye dance, this 4-phase exit. I love it. I think it's so fun, and I love witnessing it in the wild. That is hilarious to me. Like if you're out at like a cafe, maybe. I find cafe patios are great for this because it's very casual, right? You're sort of lounging around, and the table next to me starts doing the 4-phase exit. Love it. Number 14, I think we all have personal experiences with this one. What is not illegal but should be? Microwaving fish in a shared office. What else is there to say? I haven't been in a British office that didn't have a little printed off piece of paper sign in the shared kitchen specifically saying, do not microwave fish because of a previous incident. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that is just part of the British experience. Number 15, responding to you all right with actual information. So it doesn't matter who says it, your postman, the bartender, a friend, someone at a cafe, whatever, they say you all right. If you start giving them real information, that is illegal. This one still feels really weird to me. You all right, just in general, feels really weird to me. It's not quite natural yet. It's not something you see in North America. It's kind of equivalent to like someone being like, hey, what's up? And you're like, oh, not much. You know, how are you? Like, it's just very casual. But when someone in Canada says, hey, are you all right? It's usually because you look like something is not right. Do you know what I mean? And it's expected for you to answer that properly. Whereas here, if someone says you all right, it is the most non-committal comment or question. It's just like throwing out there. Do not answer that appropriately. The only appropriate answer is to say, yeah, you, or yeah, all right, like back to them. Do not answer with real information. Number 16, and a personal favorite of mine that should be illegal, is not getting out of the way when people are getting off of a train. I sold my car back in 2020, back in the pandemic, which is just crazy. It feels like a million years ago. So I am solely bus and train for the last however many years. And it grinds my gears when I'm waiting to get on the train. And you stand to the side to let people off. Same with the tube, right? When you're in London, you stand to the side, let people get off, and then you can get on. And when people don't do this, it drives me insane. Especially if you're the person trying to get off the train and you've got this like family just standing like right in front of the doors that you have to try and maneuver around. Don't do that. I hate it. Next up, number 17, we have not buying around when it's your turn. This was another thing that was kind of new to me living in the UK. The idea of, you know, you're at the pub or at the bar with a group of people and everyone takes a turn buying the round. Makes sense, right? And it's faster. One person at the bar, one person doing all the ordering and the paying rather than each individual person doing it. But the rules are very rigid. If you are part of the round, You must take part when it is your turn. If you don't want to be part of the round, fine. Say so at the beginning, but if you are like included in the round, you better pay on your turn. Otherwise, you're going to jail. Number 18, something that the Brits think should be illegal is quite simply being loud. This is a funny one. I remember going out with one of my American friends, and we were outside just like walking around, but it was very quiet. There was a lot of people, but it was very quiet. And I remember they spoke so loud that I was like secondhand embarrassed. And I know it's not all Americans, and I think North Americans typically tend to just kind of project the voice a little bit. And I don't know, it just like, I remember being really embarrassed, and it's kind of like, read the room. Do you know what I mean? Everybody else is being very quiet. Let's kind of match that volume. But it's almost like they just had no conception or no realization of like just how loud they were speaking. And I definitely noticed that for me when I first moved here. Like even Canadian, I think Canadian culture, British culture, very similar, more so than American. But even still, I noticed that I was speaking a bit loud, and you just adjust, right? It's like you need to be aware of how loud you're speaking in public settings and adjust. Because there's nothing worse than that one person being really loud at the restaurant, the cafe, on the train, you know, just anywhere. Don't be that person. The cops will hear you and they will find you. Number 19, something that should be illegal but isn't, is when you steal a supermarket parking space by not following the arrows. Do you know what I mean? When you see a spot and so you kind of go but like against the flow that you're supposed to go, you go against the flow of traffic, you go against the little arrows so you can steal that spot. Don't do it. I've never been confident enough to do this. I'm not a confident driver. That's probably not surprising. And driving in the UK is so much harder than driving in North America. So when I was driving here, when I had my car, RIP, I tried to obey the rules as much as humanly possible because I was genuinely terrified. Anytime I drove, I was terrified. So I certainly was following those supermarket arrows. And finally, number 20, if my list works out, being in the way. I think the Brits generally are quite polite. They have their structure. Don't be too loud, don't be rude, and don't be in the way. More than any other place, I find this in London because there's so many tourists, right? So the tourists don't know where they're going. They're looking up at the buildings and stuff. And especially like there's been times when I've had like a medical appointment in London and I'm anxious about getting there on time, and you're walking on the sidewalk and there's like people just like in the way and stuff, and like that is deeply annoying. I get it. I sympathize because it's incredible, and maybe it's like a trip of a lifetime, right? Like you get this one chance to go to London and you want to take it all in. But just on the off chance that any tourists see this, just be aware of your surroundings, be aware of how loud you're talking, be aware of being in the way, and maybe just move to the side and take your photos and look at your map and take in London, you know. Don't do it in the middle of the sidewalk. Because I think if someone started a petition to make this a law, like it is illegal to be in the way, I honestly think it would pass. If you guys would like to watch a bit more about British culture, about British history, may I suggest this video. I went to London to look at the most famous blue plaques. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye!